Hello everybody. So today I want to make a quick video on Enphase to specifically discuss the fact that the stock is still under $100. I cannot believe this. I've been buying Enphase just about every other day, and I'm looking for things to sell here and there that I find overvalued. All relatively, there's not that many stocks overvalued, but overvalued relatively to Enphase. And so, this is a cheap stock. I've been talking about this stock since the early days of the channel, and it's really a gift at this price for me. It's actually tough to believe that it went under 80, and I remember buying quite a bit under 80, right, as low as 76. I got quite a few orders actually in the 76 to 78 range. I'm very happy with the price. So this is a celebration video. $100 for Enphase to me is insane. So the stock is back up, right? $92 now. So the enterprise value is $11.8 billion right now. That's cheap for a company who has so much government support. And do you remember this video that I published 3 weeks ago where I go over what they describe at their run rate, right? How many microinverters they can expect. And I went over what if they expect to sell. And I went over, what if they made them all in the US, like is the plan, right? Remember, they had talked about up to 6 manufacturing facilities in the US. Well, let's remember that this is a company that by 2025, they could have $1 billion in subsidies, directly subsidies. As Mandy says on the call, she was very specific, direct pay cash money just for making microinverters in the United States. So that alone, if you look at this enterprise value of $11 billion for $1 billion a year in subsidies by 2025, in my view, is more than feasible. That is a cheap stock, just if you look at that, the government support for that. But let me go on, right? There's a $1 billion buyback that was authorized, that was just authorized. And I hope they are buying back the stock heavily. And we'll see the next quarter, if it's another poor quarter, maybe the stock will drop a little bit again and will drop back down to these levels. But in my view, I expect this stock to recover quite a bit before the next quarter. And if there's a bad quarter, maybe we'll get back into the 70s. I don't know. All I know is that I want to get my position size for this company right, because I see this company as having a very bright future. But let me just put my value investor lenses and talk about this company a little bit from a value investor. So of course, the guidance for Q4 was terrible. Why? Because this is the keyword, distributor backlog, right? They thought the sales would keep growing really fast on their trajectory like they had. And so they had pre-shipped, pre-filled orders, stocks at distributor, thinking that the demand would keep rising. That's what they had done. And also, we need to put this into context as to why they made that mistake. They made that mistake because they were operating, let's remember 2021, an era of shortages everywhere. So of course the distributors, of course the management team there says, okay, well, we need to make sure we have enough inventory, because people are still operating with this mindset that there's going to be shortages. So there's fundamental reasons as to why they overshipped. But this is the second time that Badgery misestimates or miscalculates the guidance for the next quarter, right? That's the second time that they overestimate. And so that's why I think it's the last time he makes a mistake. And on the call, you could tell he was very upset about making that mistake. It's the last time he made that mistake. So in my view, Badgery, the CEO, gave us really the worst guide ever. And the nugget in that call, in my view, in the call, which was a few weeks ago now, in that call, that nugget was that given the current very depressed demand situation, they estimate the sell-through rate, right? And this is a number that they get based on how many microinverters are set up in the cloud, because whenever an installer installs microinverters, Enphase know, oh, this microinverter has been installed. And because they can see it live how many of them are installed, so they can know exactly roughly their demand right now based on how many of these systems are installed. That's how they get to this number, and they get to the number of between 450 and 500 million a quarter in sales, right? So I'm going right at the middle. That's 475 million. That's the normalized zero growth, no growth rate of inventory. Other fluctuations are temporary. So let's be clear, at $92 a share, that's $11.8 billion for this company of enterprise value. So currently, the depressed sales, as they are 1.9 billion, that's the current run rate. The price to sales for this company is a 6.2. That is quite a bit cheaper than a Tesla, like about 2 points cheaper than say Tesla's share, right? Tesla is about 8 on a price to sales. But the gross margin is not comparable to a Tesla. The gross margin of Tesla is, about 20% long term. I'm going to call it right now about 20%. It's going to be higher. It's going to go up. But for gross margin for Enphase right now is 50%. They've guided gross margin in Q4 at 50%. In fact, if you remember this somewhat of a disaster Q3, the highlight of this Q3 was the gross margin going up. And they're guiding for the gross margin going up even more. So they're holding steady on the prices, right? That's one of the main distinctions which makes this company, in my view, pretty high quality. So thinking like a value investor, let's be crazy. So like I said, it's a 6.2x. If you just look at the EBITDA, if you just look at the revenue is a price to sales is a 6.2x right now at current prices. Now let's go and let's do EBITDA. So gross margin in Q4 will be 50%. So by the way, if you took 50%, let me just move on. So 50%. So 50% gross margin. If you took that 50% and you applied it to EBITDA margin and you extrapolated what the EBITDA margin is going to be based on the 7% increase between 43 and 50%, you would get EBITDA margin in Q4 or going forward, a rough EBITDA margin of 28%, which is excellent, right? So let's think like a value investor. So we want to see what multiple of cash flows we could be paying for this company. So if you just look at EBITDA that I use for a proxy for cash flow, keeping in mind that this company has essentially no dilution, and dilution is going to go negative with that buyback. So assuming EBITDA margin of 28%, 1.9 billion in sales, you get at 532 million in cash flow equivalent in EBITDA, which means that the business is trading at 22 times EBITDA. That's cheap. But let's be bolder. And let's assume my $1 billion in subsidies alone and count it as EBITDA. You may remember in that video that I made, my base case for 2025 in subsidies was 936 million. So we take 936 million in subsidies plus 532 million in how much they make just running the business, right? And you're getting at a 2025 EBITDA multiple of 8.92. So this company is trading at 8.92 2025 EBITDA. Assuming sales don't grow, assuming everything is flat, and that's an 11.2% EBITDA yield, which I think is excellent. This is assuming everything stays flat, but of course it's not going to stay flat. This stock is one of the top 10 performers in the S&P 500 in the past 10 years, right behind Tesla and Nvidia. This has been an outstanding performance. This stock, it's been doing so well. So let's talk about some of the positives, some of the qualitative reasons as to why I believe these multiples, in and out of themselves, they are cheap. But when you consider these things, they look even cheaper. So first of all is the subsidies. The subsidies will be fully phased out in 2035. And they begin the phase out in 2033, but they will be in full force as currently outlined until 2033. So that's 10 years out, and that's 12 years out if you look at the full phase out of the subsidies. So we have a good 10 years to go with the subsidies. Keep that in mind. In my view, the present value of future subsidies for Enphase right now is cheaper than what the stock is currently trading at. Let that sink in. The present value of future subsidies is cheaper than the price of the stock, because these subsidies are going to grow quite a bit. And by the way, I'm not even including the battery subsidies, which are coming. They may get up to $45 per kilowatt hour on batteries. I did not count any of those, but we know batteries are coming halfway through 2024. Right, so that's point number one. Present value of subsidies is already, in my view, much higher than the price of a company. Then number two, energy is the most important sector in the economy. It's at the root of the economy. It's at the root of everything we do. Nothing runs without energy. This sector should trade at a premium, and that's why Tesla trades at such as a premium, right? That's the revolution of energy. Tesla is in the revolution of energy sector. So is Enphase. Enphase is in the revolution of energy sector, right? My view for owning Enphase is 10 years from now, when I take a walk in my neighborhood and see my neighbor's houses, 9 roofs out of 10 will have a solar roof. That may be a little bullish, but 10 years from now, I don't see why not, because electricity prices from utility companies are going to keep going through the roof. And by the way, this is already the case. If you go in a brand new neighborhood in California, you may know that California has passed this law that forces brand new builders to put solar panels on roofs. To me, this is obvious. This is going to be the way, just like electric cars, because you get free electricity on your roof. So this sector is special. And I don't want to criticize some of the other companies that I cover on this channel, but like yesterday I covered a lifestyle energy drink. Yeah, it's great. It's it's disruptive. It's disruptive to coffee. It's disruptive to Monster, to Red Bull. But it's not as disruptive as solar energy. It's not as disruptive as free energy falling down residential homes of every single citizen of the earth. That's more meaningful, right? I love this company, don't get me wrong. Same for StoneCo. I love StoneCo. It's a payment terminal company in Brazil. I love it very much. But it's not as meaningful as energy. This company is poised to grow to a really big size. It has the potential to disrupt utilities. Right? It turns your house into its own mini utility, and you can use the power to do much more than just power your house. You can power your transportation. You can resell the power. The whole way grids are going to work is changing in front of our eyes. And the fact that they focus on residential solar is, to me, giving a premium to Enphase compared to, say, a Solar Edge. If you listen to Solar Edge call, which I did, they did mention that one of the things that surprises them and that actually saved them this quarter was residential. They have Solar Edge is having a lot of success in the commercial. I meant commercial, not residential. They're having a lot of success in the commercial sector. Well, what does that tell you? They're having success in the commercial sector. It tells you that it's the terminal value of the commercial sector is going to be smaller than the residential sector. The residential sector is much bigger. The company focusing on the bigger share of the market should get a bigger valuation, a better premium in my view, right? It's just like if you bought a auto company that just made company cars and doesn't make cars for private individuals. Well, this is the same way for Enphase. They're focusing on the bigger part of the market, which is residential, right? Then, microinverters themselves. If you look at how they're building their infrastructure at Enphase, microinverters are at the core of all of their products. They will sell ever more microinverters because if you look at their batteries are filled with microinverters. If you look at their chargers for their cars, they're filled with microinverters. Enphase is a microinverter company, and they're designing their product around these microinverters, which are highly scalable and easy to manufacture, and when manufactured in the USA, get almost $30 of subsidies per microinverter for a product which, by the way, sells for just about $100 wholesale. Costs them way less than that to make, by the way. They have 50% gross margin, right? So it costs them maybe at most $50 to make that product. So anyways, that's something to think about. They're putting them everywhere. Look at the bidirectional EV charger that they're making. That's going to be 8 microinverters. Batteries, that's going to be 6 microinverters or something like that. Very We're putting them all over. And then solar will converge, and this is the most important thing. There is a convergence happening, and I've made a full video about this. Solar converges with electric vehicles. Yes, our utilities, the grid, can't handle electric vehicles and AI and software of all sorts in the current state. But the future is not going to be the current state. The state of the future is going to be one where most homes generate their own energy because it just makes sense. And so they're implementing, we're at the beginning of these things like green charging, which is the whole idea that, the solar on your roof charges your car, which means that the weight of your car on the grid is not only zero, but over time, as solar panels get better, it's a positive weight. It's a positive weight. So, anyways, I don't have time to go into depth. I've been into depth into so many of different points about Enphase so many times. This is a company that's widely misunderstood. I'm happy to own it, and I'm happy to buy it at $92. And to me, position sizing is more important than position timing, and I'm hoping to get my cost basis at under $100. It's kind of what I'm working on right now, and we'll see if that's possible. We'll see if next week maybe it trades at $80 again. We'll see. But I just wanted to make this video to say, remember, Enphase is still under $100. This was not investment advice. This is just entertainment. I hope you were entertained. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.